going on, everybody? LegacyMaker Sports brings to you NBA Finals recap of Game 2. Lamonte Thomas here with my main man, Superfly Ty Montgomery. Ty, how you feeling, man?
Another day, another dollar, man. I'm happy to have a day off work, but with us, we never stop working.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that. So here we are, right after Game 2 here. Final score is Lakers 124, Miami Heat 114. What are your overall thoughts about this Game 2, man?
Man, as we discussed last time, it's like it's like the Miami Heat. They just don't have enough, man, and we seen that tonight. They didn't have any answers for Anthony Davis at all.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. No Bam Adebayo. So that's a big, huge loss. And I mean, we're gonna get into that. And that's probably the biggest difference that we saw in this game tonight. The thing we could see the most.
Yeah, definitely. Bam is a presence. He's a solid enforcer in that low post down on the block, and really the only presence that this Miami Heat team has, and we clearly seen that tonight. You start a guy like Myers Leonard, who hasn't really played much throughout this whole entire playoffs, and
True.
he gets to start tonight, and he didn't play much, and there's a reason behind that. I mean, it's just not enough, and the Miami Heat, they're just in a tough situation at the moment.
Yeah, we talked about the personnel differences that both coaches have and both teams have to offer. So I mean that's actually rearing its ugly head for the Miami Heat right now. So we'll get into it, man. So biggest difference I saw in Game 2 from Game 1, other than the personnel issue, was that Miami did shoot the three ball better. We talked about that. They were 31% in the first game. This game, they were 40% from three, exactly where they needed to be. And it's funny because I said if they get certain things together, on the offensive end, defensive end, it'll probably be about a 10-point game. And here you go, 10-point. The win was by 10 points. So,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So there's our point differential there. So the biggest thing that was different though on the wrong side for them was the points in the paint. It looks like the Lakers got 38 points in the paint with Adebayo playing. Now that he's out, 56 points in the paint. Huge difference, right? I think it was something like from 40 to 56 or something like that. So you got probably about a 16-point difference, points in the paint. So that blatantly shows you that without Bam, Miami Heat defensively just not the same team.
Not at all. And like we said, the makeup of this team, they're bigs that the Miami Heat have left at the moment. Now that Bam's out, they're 3-point shooters. Myers Leonard, he prefers to be on the arc. Kelly Olynyk, he's a sharp shooter. He's a pretty darn sharp shooter at that. He's pretty good at what he does.
Shot.
He has, man. I mean, he's a proven player. But, I mean, their only chance at winning is by defeating the Lakers by the three-point ball. That's the only shot that they have at the moment.
And I mean, they shot it well enough to win this game. Now, see, the problem is that they gave up almost 20 more points in the paint. So now you got the defensive side again rearing its ugly head. You got, you did what you came to do offensively. I felt like they were pretty potent offensive wise. I mean, you score 114 points, should be enough to win you the basketball game. But now you got to get stops. And that's the problem when you got Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, all on the court together. And it's a thing. I saw just like the first quarter of the last game, I saw it again. First quarter, there was a time where the Heat plays perfect defense, I think. I'm not sure if the Lakers got the bucket or not. If the Heat had just put up a shot and they got back. That's what it was. They had a hard time getting back in game 1. They got back this game on this play. And the Lakers, LeBron throws it up to AD, and Miami Heat are right there. So he can't even catch it and put it in the basket. But what he did is he did a touch pass to a trailing Dwight Howard, and nobody could do anything because it's 2 7-footers still in the paint. So I saw that, and I was just like, poor Bam. That's the only thing I could think of. It's just that I know he wants to play. I know he wants to be with his guys, and unfortunately they don't have it.
Yeah, he's a true leader for this Miami Heat team. In fact, he's probably, you can make the argument, he's the most important player on this Miami Heat team. As we saw in Game 2 tonight, Dwight Howard pretty much got the party started. I mean, he was all over the boards. He was getting some putback layups. He was getting some dunks, some alley oops, and he
Hmm.
was blocking shots. I mean, he was a true presence. But I like what the Miami Heat did though. They kind of took him out the game. He didn't play
They
much
did.
in this game.
They
He
did.
was in there early, but Miami went small because they just can't contend with the size the LA Lakers have at the moment. So they went small, and that got rid of Dwight. But you still got to deal with a guy like Anthony Davis, who's versatile, who can play big man or he could play on the perimeter. He does it all.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing is that just like you said, they kind of took Dwight out when the small ball started to get up and down. It was a little harder for Dwight, so he had to come out. But the problem is you insert a Kuzma and Caruso, and the Lakers have a whole different monster now. Now they can run and gun, and defend a little bit. And I think that was the issue after that because I mean, shoot, Miami had, like you said, Olenek is pretty much a perimeter player at this point. I mean, he could shoot, he can bang a little bit, but he can't Anthony Davis bang,
Mm.
right? So there's your issue. So now they're gonna have to figure out how to come up with stops. And I wouldn't be surprised. It was you that told me that you think they could go zone in game two, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we saw. But the only thing is, if you're gonna play zone, you got to play it kind of perfect, especially when you're playing with veterans like against veterans like LeBron and Rondo, who have that high basketball IQ, who knows how to beat a zone. So if you're gonna play zone, you got to play it tight. And that zone, it just looked a little sloppy to me. I didn't see too many closing out on those perimeter shooters, and that's why the Lakers were able to get so many shots. They just didn't close out enough in the zone.
Yeah, yeah, their spacing is impeccable, and that's what I'm saying. When they go small, they really go small because the spacing is perfect, and there's only so much that a zone can do. And I feel so bad for Jimmy Butler, who also has a huge IQ, right, large IQ. And you know what the facial expressions that after every bucket made me think of? It made me think of LeBron when they lost to the Spurs in the finals. Do you remember that when LeBron was just he kept trying to coach them defensively, and the Spurs still found a way because they're so fundamentally sound to get a bucket, and he was so frustrated. I saw that look on Jimmy Butler's face, and I was just like, Jimmy, man, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm glad you brought up Jimmy Butler because, watching the game, guys were probably criticizing him because he didn't shoot the ball enough. Now, I'm kind of on both sides of the fence with Jimmy. It was good that he was able to get his teammates involved. He had so many assists in this game tonight, and it probably was even a career high for him. But he was able to get his guys involved, and he's not going to beat the Lakers by himself. Nobody can win a game by themselves unless,
Yeah.
unless you're the late great Kobe Bryant, Mr. 81.
Or Michael Jordan.
Michael
That's it.
Jordan, yeah. But even the great LeBron James knows that you got to have a team around you to win and be successful. And Jimmy was able to get his teammates involved early on, but I did want to see Jimmy be a little bit more aggressive. I think he only took about 3 or 5 shots in just the first half alone. If he was able to be a little bit more aggressive, that probably would have gave them a chance.
Yeah, yeah, and I saw Jimmy actually passed up a lot of open shots, and I think it kind of hurt him late because in the second half he had to get going again. He actually missed a couple easy buckets, and you
Mm-hmm.
could see it. And I think it was because he was so pass first mentality.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that Miami was going to have to take more threes and make more threes in this game, and part of that is him driving to the basket and kicking out. Early, I saw him pass up a few layups just to dish it back out. And then it worked for him, but the problem was when he started to take his layups, they weren't going in, right? So you got to see the ball going in the basket sometimes to develop that rhythm. So yeah, he's having an inner battle, having to be the leader and knowing when to say when. So hopefully we will see him be a little more aggressive in game three.
And I think one thing, like you said, he is having an inner battle. And I think when he looks at what's going on, the situation in Miami with the injuries, he's playing with kids. I mean, Tyler Hero, rookie. Kendrick Nunn, rookie. I mean, these guys don't have much experience. They're young. I mean, Tyler Hero was playing high school ball a couple years ago. I mean, these guys are young. So I mean, Jimmy's been on the big stage before, and it's a lot to burden for just one player. I mean, this is Jimmy Butler's first NBA Finals appearance. So
Exactly,
so it's a lot for Jimmy to handle on one plate. So
for
I,
sure. And
I think he has to just carry the team at this point.
yeah, and I think it's so funny that you mentioned how young these guys were. Let me tell you, put it in perspective for you. Duncan Robertson, right? Another young guy. 4 years ago, I hear that he was putting in an application to be a media personality because he didn't think he was going to make the NBA. And now look
Wow.
at that 4 years. Now 4 years into it, he's in the NBA Finals. How crazy is that,
Arguably the
right?
best shooter in the league at this point.
He's lighting it up, like you said. He's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Real on fire. So, I mean, you got to feel for Jimmy Butler. You got to feel for this whole Miami Heat team at this point. It's a bad situation for them to go down like this. And I hate to say it, Lamont, but this is probably going to be a sweep.
Yeah, I think so, man. Like it's looking that way, Ty. And unless Miami can get a game, like Adebayo says he looking like he might be ready to go on game three. I'm not sure, how much production he's going to have, or if he can, or if that's just not a thing. But I don't know, man. It looks like they're going to need everything they've got to get a game. That's what it's looking like to me.
All right, so Bam injured the shoulder in the Boston series. Um, is still injured. He's still feeling the pain, the aches, all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm not sure if he'll ever play in this series anymore. I mean, he's a franchise player, him and Jimmy, along with Tyler. So, I mean, he's a cornerstone. So, Miami, I'm sure they don't want to ruin that career of his that he has coming up on him. So, I mean, I won't be surprised if we don't see Bam throughout the rest of this series, especially if we're anticipating a sweep at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like on the ropes right now, right? So like, if he doesn't play game three, even if he does play game three and he's limited, whether or not they win the game is really going to be the biggest factor there. Like if they're not in the game still, if it's not enough, there's no reason to actually to make him suffer.
Yeah.
Because other than that, like you said, it's kind of looking like it's time to get the brooms out.
So who do you think on this Miami Heat team has to step up for them in the absence of a Goran Dragic, the absence of a Bam Adebayo? Who on this Miami Heat has to step up for this team to even have a chance?
I'm gonna go with your guy, man. I'm gonna go with none. I feel like he's the one with the highest upside, to bring to this team. I saw a couple of times he went to the basket, challenged LeBron, challenged anybody else at the basket. I mean, he's that guy who can bring it offensively for them, and defensively he might even have to do more too. Defensively, it's going to be between him and Andre Iguodala to me. Iguodala has the experience. He's been there. This is his eighth finals. He's going to have to make some incredible plays defensively, to keep the Lakers from scoring all those easy baskets.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, man. Especially with the Andre Iguodala. He's been here before. He's a former Finals MVP. He's won on the big stage multiple times. I mean, so much experience. His career in Philly, his career in Denver, now his career from Golden State. And now he was supposed to be with the Memphis Grizzlies, but you know what happened with that situation.
Right.
So his career now in Miami Heat, he's been on this big stage before, and I mean, he took some time off because of the whole situation with the Grizzlies, but it looks to me like he's playing a little passive. I mean, he got paid. Like Miami Heat, as soon as they acquired him, they gave him an extension. And he just doesn't look the same to me. I mean, does a year really hurt? Taking a year off, does it really affect you that way? He just looks so much older.
I was going to say, I think he's turned the page, in his game. And then he's had a couple stints in Golden State where we didn't recognize it that much because he was surrounded by Steph, Clay, Draymond Green.
That's a good point.
Know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a good point.
Have to do as much. He had more of a role there where now, he's going to have to he's the big shoes, right? Besides Jimmy Butler, he's it as far as experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we can see that now on a team that you have to carry it. I think that speaks a lot to people like LeBron James. He's 35 years old, man. This guy's still guarding some of these guys on the perimeter. He's still setting guys up, to bring their best out of them. When have you seen AD play this well? I'm gonna say he's played well before, but I mean, come on, like I think that was you that posted that, right?
Yeah, AD doesn't even look the same to me. I mean, he was amazingly great with the Pelicans. I mean, don't get me wrong, don't
Yeah,
get it
he was a
twisted.
monster.
But he's so much better simply by playing next to LeBron James. It's
Super Saiyan.
unbelievable. Yeah, that's a
He got
good
gold hair, man. He got gold hair.
one.
He's Vegeta.
Yeah,
He's tearing it up.
and you know what's crazy too is like I remember watching Davis early on in his career, and even recently in his career with the Pelicans, he was always hurt. And I labeled him as soft. You know, he's he's tissue, he's toilet
Hmm.
paper, like he's soft. But I mean, that's the LeBron factor. LeBron's in his ear, and LeBron's telling him, "Look, you're gonna have to be our go-to guy." It kind of reminds me of the Shaq and Kobe. You know, as good as Kobe was, Kobe needed Shaq.
Yeah,
As good as Shaq was, Shaq needed Kobe. I'm sorry. So I see the same thing with LeBron. I see the same thing with Davis. They need each other, and Davis has he's incredible, man. I mean, he's shooting his jump shot has really impressed me. I mean, we
yeah,
always knew he was a presence down low, and you know probably developed a jump shot so he can avoid so many injuries. But that jump shot, he didn't really miss too many shots in this game.
yeah. That offensive game is potent on the outside now. I mean, you could see him. He'll triple threat you, and just
Hmm.
imagine. I can't imagine a 7 foot guy that's with the stature that he has. I mean, his shoulders just he can do what he wants, man. He's still got the quickness. It's like, what do you do when you're getting posted up with someone with the size of Anthony Davis? Like almost like a just like imagine like a young Dwight Howard or young Blake Griffin with his
Hmm.
game with Blake Griffin's game now. You
Yeah,
know, like that's kind of what it's like. It's like he can do everything. That's scary.
yeah, it is. You know, I look at this LA Laker team, and there was one instance in this game too where Rondo had the ball and he did a skip pass behind the back to LeBron James, and LeBron wasn't expecting it. You can see it by his demeanor in his face. You can see it as he attempted the jump shot. He wasn't expecting that pass, and I'm thinking to myself, man, is Rondo the best point guard, pure point guard that is, that LeBron has ever played with? I mean,
Ooh, that's a good question.
yeah, because when LeBron got that ball, he clearly was not ready for it,
Right.
and it was an impressive pass. I mean, it reminded me back in the day that things I used to do on the court.
Yeah,
but
man. I think so. I would have to say he's the best pure point guard because I mean, if you think about it, the other guys that he had, Mario Chalmers, not as great as a visionary as Rondo is. Um, Other than that, I
Kyrie,
can't even think of. Yeah, I mean, Kyrie's
he,
good.
he's a
He's
he's a,
more.
he's a me guy.
He's a scorer. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a scorer naturally. He can pass. He's a
Mm.
good passer, but he's a scorer first. And you know, he's just a creator in general. But Rondo, man, Rondo's a general. He's a floor general.
Yep.
And I would have to go with best pure point guard I think he's played with. Usually LeBron's the one surprising people with passes. So for him to be surprised, that says a lot.
And the thing about it, you know, you look at the makeup of all the teams LeBron has played for. He even still to this day he has to carry. Let's just face it.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't say that he's forced to do it, but he's just so dang on talented that he does it. You know, I mean, Kyrie probably could have ran point, but LeBron was the better option at creating offense for the team.
Hmm.
Even in Miami, he was the best option at creating offense for the team. So I mean, I look at this Laker team. You know, when you got when you got LeBron on the court and you got Rondo on the court who can create offense for the rest of the team, along with the finishers that the LA Lakers have, Anthony Davis, a Dwight Howard, a JaVale McGee, a Kyle Kuzma, slashers like Markieff Morris. This Laker team is really deep when we look at it.
Yeah, they are. And I think the difference with somebody like LeBron with someone say, I don't know, someone who has a Kyrie type of game where their scores first is that, man, people don't understand that it's the critical points in the game that do difference, right? Like when when Miami did close the gap and they got it really close. Remember, because they were chasing the Lakers lead all night.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll get it down to like 6 or they'll get it down to like Yeah, I think we might have had some technical difficulties there, but like I was saying, that every time Miami Heat would close the gap in the game is when I saw, the difference in the two teams, which was a LeBron James, right? Like he cut to the basket and then somebody would find him cutting to the basket. So he actually can play off the ball too, right? And like that's the thing is like when you can do both, that's when you get scary. That's when you're scary as a talent. People have to worry about you all the time. And people say LeBron has to play with the ball in his hands. He does for a portion of the game,
Mm-hmm.
but his IQ and his unselfishness shows when there's a critical point in the game and he does the other things. He does the intangible things. Those are the things that I'm saying like that's the difference. That's the difference between a LeBron James and a dominant ball player can't who doesn't have as much versatility.
Yeah, and this, like you just mentioned, LeBron's being able to play off the ball. You know, normally we see him with the ball in his hands,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, he's playing with a pure point guard in Rondo, so he's able to play off the ball. I think you mentioned earlier LeBron's about 35 years old at the moment. With him possibly being able to play off the ball, I think he may have another 5 or 6 years, man.
And the way that his game is now, I mean, and his game has changed. He can still jump. I mean, he's still athletic, but obviously he's not as killer as young LeBron was in terms of
Right,
flying and doing Zion type of stuff on people,
right.
right? But now there's other elements to his game, 1 foot jumpers,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. He's obviously he's always had the post game, but now he goes to it more.
Mm-hmm.
When you can put him in the post versus virtually anyone, he's
Yeah.
still hard to to defend, right?
Yeah.
So he can still set other people up on their shots. And then when your game is like that, man, it's so infectious. And I think that's the deal with LeBron is that I could see him also playing another 4 or 5 years because who doesn't want to play with somebody who's pass first and gets everybody involved?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, Kyrie made some comments over the weekend. Kyrie made some comments over the weekend talking about he's never played with a knockdown shooter, someone he trusts in the clutch. Like, I'm not sure if those were exact words, but he said something around that ballpark, and it was clearly a shot at LeBron. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, okay, Kyrie, you can't even play a full season. LeBron, LeBron is an old man compared to you, and he's playing full season. LeBron's been playing 82 plus games for like the last 10 years because he's been going to the playoffs and making these deep playoff runs. I mean, come on now,
I love
Kyrie.
that you brought that up, man. The subliminal shots in basketball are gold. Let me tell
Yes.
you how he actually, I think he came back since and made a video saying that he didn't mean that about LeBron, but that's only because everybody knew he meant that about LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing. It was so funny. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess he can make that statement as long as he's counting on KD to do his thing during the season. Because let's face it, without a LeBron during the regular season, we've seen that Kyrie Cavaliers team, and we didn't see them in the playoffs.
Not at all.
Yeah, so there's that. But I thought it was funny, man, and they're gonna have their build up for next year. So that's basically what that's gonna be, and I can't wait, man, because look, I'm sure LeBron still has feelings about that too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
LeBron, he ain't gonna let things get to him, because look where LeBron's at now. He's on his verge of winning possibly, his fourth NBA Finals championships. I mean, Kyrie needs LeBron. LeBron doesn't need Kyrie.
There you go. There you go.
Simply said. So
Yeah.
Lamar, what do you think the Miami Heat has to do to win Game 3? Because Game 3, I believe, is considered a must win.
Yep.
Once you go down 3-0, I mean, it's virtually over.
Yeah, that's the broom stopper right there. You got
Yeah.
to make sure. Yeah. So I think Game 3 for the Miami Heat. I mean, the scary part is they almost did everything right in Game 2 and still lost the game. So the 40% from three was good. I still think that's good enough. You want to stay around that ballpark. If they're 40 and above, I think offensively they'll be in a good spot. defensively, I think is what they're going to have to rely on, Ty. I think Spoelstra is going to make sure that defensively they do not let LA get as many points in the paint. I think that's the key for them. So whether or not that's getting more fouls and sending them to the free throw line, or whether that is staying in the passing lanes and not even in denying LA some of those easy buckets or those passes into the paint, I think that's going to be key. I don't know how they're going to do it. I have no idea, but I think that's the key for them to win Game 3.
I'm glad you mentioned defense, man. You know what they say: defense wins championships. and
Let's
and
hear.
and when you're the Miami Heat and you're allowing LeBron and Anthony Davis to go off with 30 plus points, there has to be a line where you say, okay, I'm doubling. I'm not gonna allow you to do this to us. You can't allow these guys to beat you. I mean, they're talented, they're able to do so, but you gotta take at least one of them out the game. So I'm thinking to myself, where is the double team?
Yeah.
Where's the double team?
They tried it in Game 1 early, actually. If you look at early, they actually tried doubling AD and LeBron. The problem with doubling LeBron is if he can still see the floor, you're still screwed because he's gonna get the ball in the hands to somebody who's open and can score. AD, now that Adebayo's out of the game, I would double AD. I think that works. I mean, at least you might be able to get him flustered. You might be able to get him to turn over the ball because he doesn't have the vision that LeBron has. Now you're gonna have to get some absolutely great pressure. Maybe Jay Crowder, maybe like a nun trap, or if Duncan Robinson and Hero can get some active hands in there, maybe that can work. Or Jimmy Butler even, you know. Maybe that can work, but you'll have to do it in spots where he can't pass out of it because AD is also a decent passer. So it's
Yes.
going to be tough.
So this is what I would do if I'm the Miami Heat. I'm not going to let LeBron and Anthony Davis destroy me like this. I mean, I'm not having it. And you're down 2-0. You have nothing to lose. I mean, you're outmanned, you're outsized. So just throw all your chips on the table. Let's go. So when Anthony Davis get that ball, I'm going to double him. If LeBron get that ball, I'm doubling. I'm going to force Kentavious Caldwell Pope to drop 30 on me. I'm going to force Danny Green to drop 30 on me. I'm not going to let LeBron and Anthony do this to me. So, I mean, you got to pick your poison at this point. Right. I mean, Danny Green, come on now. Yeah. He's a knockdown shooter, but he's not good for beating teams by itself.
Right.
Let him be the one to beat you.
Yep. Make him and maybe a Caruso do it.
Yeah.
I think, though, if I could I'll tell you what I'd do if it was high school. I'll tell you that all day. I'd bring maybe like a 2-1-2 could do it. Make sure that there's two people on the ball at all times.
Yeah.
Or even a 2-2-1. Because what that will do is keep the ball out of the paint. Right. And in the 2-2-1, there's always two guys on the ball, and then there's the second two guys are always in the passing lane.
That's clever. I like that.
That's kind of what you want to do.
Yeah.
Now you can still get beat, but only by fast ball movement.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after a while the Lakers will figure it out because they're so daggone smart. But they'd have to swing the ball incredibly fast. They have to get it in the middle incredibly often. So I mean, you could try that, but I don't know, man. At this point, it's like I'm just hoping whatever the Heat's last play is, whatever their last straw is, hopefully it keep the broom out the closet.
One last option for the Heat, it just came to my head. This guy's a roughneck. He's tough, but he's an older guy. Haslam. Let's bring Haslam out, and let's get Haslam in Anthony Davis' head, and get Haslam to rough him up a little bit, get him on the ground. Have Anthony Davis holding his arm. Oh, he hurt me. Anthony Davis can be soft at times.
Wasn't Haslam in street clothes at the end of the last series? I could have sworn I saw him like a coach, man. He was like in the huddle getting them pumped up, and I was like, he ain't even got a uniform on.
But he's been here before, and Haslam's always been known to be the tough one. So, I mean, all chips on the table. Let's do it. Let's get UD out on this court and get him to put some pressure on Davis.
It's like the water boy, man. Nothing to hold back now.
Yeah, man. It's a tough situation, but the Lakers, they look like they're well on their way to winning this NBA Finals series.
Yeah, we'll see if the Heat can do anything about that, man. So there you guys have it. Game 3, I think, is that going to be played Sunday or
Sunday.
Monday? Yeah, Sunday. So game 3
7:30.
Sunday. We'll see what happens then. You got Ty Montgomery, myself, Lamont Thomas, LegacyMaker Sports, bringing you guys the NBA Finals recap. Stay tuned for Game 3.